We begin tonight with yet another bloodbath, this time in the sleeping town of Alakio in Lafia, East Council of Nasarawa State in northern Nigeria. Gunmen today took up the police in Alakio village, 10 kilometers from Lafia township, killing no fewer than 20 policemen. According to the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Akeri Mame, the victims were going about their lawful duty of dislodging some criminal abode before they were hit by enemies' bullets. But the governor of the state, Ibrahim Al-Makura, is reported to have told journalists in Lafia that the attackers are cultists operating in the state popularly called Ombatse militia group. He maintains, however, that no amount of intimidation would stop his administration from continuing with the war against cultists in the state. This is not the first time people would be killed by this group. Just 2 weeks ago, the same cultists reportedly launched an attack on defenseless civilians, killing an undisclosed number of people. Meanwhile, the Nigerian army has thrown its weight behind the federal government's proposed amnesty initiative for the Boko Haram extremists. The Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Ibrahim Atairu, told journalists at a news conference in Abuja that amnesty does not undermine the competence of the military, as some people have hinted. This remark from the army is coming on the heels of the gruesome attack in Borno and Nasarawa states, where scores of military operatives, civilians and some terrorists were killed.
Foot patrols, air patrols are being conducted, and essentially the entire operation is an effect-based operation. And the emphasis here is on the end state. So what we intend to do, we have a desired strategic outcome for the entire GTF. So all the little things being done in all the little mission areas within Borno will be cumulatively to the desired outcome of the GTF overall task, which is bringing a semblance of peace and security in the whole of the Northeast. Amnesty is being handled adequately well at the political leadership level, at the strategic level. For the military to complement the aspects of amnesty, to the military, to the Nigerian Army, it's a welcome development, a step in the right direction, and we will do everything to ensure we support government efforts at the amnesty program.
But the federal government says it's not going to fold its arms and allow this bloodbath continue uncontrolled across the northern states. The president specifically warned that this worsening insecurity in the north flies in the face of ongoing efforts to establish a workable framework for dialogue and peaceful resolution of the present security challenges. According to the president, government's consideration of dialogue as an option for elimination of some current threats to security should not be seen as a weakening of its resolve and determination to use all the forces at its disposal to crush all brazen affronts to the powers and sovereignty of the nation. The president, while sending condolences to the armed forces and the police, asked them not to be disheartened or daunted by the loss of their colleagues. This message was sent from South Africa, where the president is currently meeting with the business community in Cape Town. Now, it was like a game of cat and mouse between the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and former Bayelsa State Governor Timipre Silva, who was eventually found hiding in his Abuja mansion. The agency's head of media and publicity, Wilson Wujari, said Mr. Silva was arrested following a search of the house during which vital documents were also recovered. On arrival at the home at about 10 in the morning, the commission's operatives were told that the former governor was not in town, but they insisted on conducting the search in the house, having obtained a warrant from the court. Mr. Silva is currently being interrogated at the Abuja headquarters of the anti-graft agency in connection with fresh evidence linking him to an alleged fraudulent transaction bordering on money laundering. Now, the Court of Appeal has struck out a motion seeking to stop a federal high court in Abuja from further hearing the suit on the ownership of $15 million allegedly offered to the EFCC's former chairman, Nuhu Ribadu, as bribed by former Delta State Governor James Ibori. Justice Amiru Sanusi held that the motion was defective and incompetent. A Lagos-based litigant, Olalekan Bayode, had brought the motion to the appellate court seeking to stop Justice Gabriel Kolawole from further hearing the motion and asking to be appointed as manager of the $15 million to be used for widows and orphans. Justice Kolawole, on November 23, 2012, dismissed the application on the grounds that it was baseless, frivolous, and that Mr. Olalekan did not give sufficient reason why the $15 million should be released to him.
Pending the hearing of the appeal, we are applying for a stay of the proceeding at the lower court. And as the judges have ruled that application needs to be brought in a different format. That notwithstanding, it doesn't mean it has been dismissed, but it was withdrawn. So what happened is this. If you fight, he who fights and runs away runs to fight another day. So what it implies, the nut and bolt of their decision, is that, look, you still have the opportunity to have a second bite of the cherry and you can come back. And that's where we are.
Now, in spite of their earlier decision to end rescue operations at the site of the collapsed building in the Ojodu area of Lagos, officials of the National Emergency Management Agency went back to work today following distress calls believed to have come from under the rubble. The decision paid off, and that was a very smart move, as 2 more people were rescued alive. One other person was removed from the collapsed structure yesterday, while a middle-aged man died. The Commissioner for Fiscal Planning, Toyin Ayinde, asked Lagosians to always be cautious.
To date, just one person was brought out dead, and we've been able to save 2 people from the rubble. There were those who didn't, who were not part of the collapse. There are those who were immediately rescued. But from these rubbles, 2 people now. I understand that there are still some voices. That's why the rescue process is now a bit slower, because when you learn that there are people alive, then you have to take extra care in removing all of the rubbles. For us to detect project sites like this, we will need information from the public. I was speaking with some of the neighbors yesterday, and I saw their attitude to reporting cases like this. But some of them felt that they will be victimized. Some of them felt they will be stigmatized. But which one is weightier, to be stigmatized or to lose lives? So we really have to take a decision.
Well, stay in Lagos, the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Ayo Phillips, today appointed Professor Olarewaju Fagbo as the new chairman of the Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Ikeja to replace Honorable Justice Dolapo Akinsoye, who resigned from office a few months back. The Chief Judge, while administering the oath, asked him to act according to the law and dispense justice as quickly as possible. The new chairman promised to adhere strictly to the law in carrying out his responsibility.
The admonition of the Chief Judge is very, very clear. Time is of the essence, so we must hit the ground running and ensure that we dispense justice as quickly as possible. We will ensure that we follow the rules of law very well, and we'll ensure that we follow due process at all times. And we are guided at all times by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Well, staying with appointments, the President has nominated former Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mike Okiro, as the new chairman of the Police Service Commission. Others nominated to serve as members of the commission include former Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mr. Yakubu Mohammed, Mrs. Comfort Obi, and Mr. Otivie Ibuzo. Meanwhile, former President of the Senate, Ken Namani, has been nominated Chairman of the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission. The President has also requested the Senate to confirm the nomination of Mr. Emmanuel Aremu as Secretary of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission.
I wish to notify the distinguished Senate that emergent circumstances have necessitated the withdrawal of the nomination of Mr. Adesoju O. Olaoba Efuntayo as Secretary of the Commission. In his place, Mr. Emmanuel Adegboyega Aremu, Southwest, is hereby forwarded for the consideration of the distinguished members of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I write to forward the unlisted names for consideration as chairman and members of the commission. 1, Mr. Mike Okiro, JP, chairman. 2, Mr. Yakubu Mohammed, DIG, retired member, Katsina State. I write to forward the unlisted names for consideration as chairman and members of the governing board of the ICRC. 1, Senator Ken Namani, GCON chairman.
The maritime sector in Nigeria may soon witness a turnaround if the effort of the Federal Executive Council is anything to go by. After its weekly meeting presided over by Vice President Namadi Sambo, the Council approved a memo presented by the Labour Minister, Mr. Emeka Wogu, and his counterpart in the Transport Ministry, Idris Umar, asking the Attorney General of the Federation to prepare an instrument for the domestication of the Maritime Labour Convention 2006. The law will enable Nigeria develop its maritime sector and create jobs. The ministers expect improved networking of port activities and attraction of technical development in the sector.
The Maritime Labour Convention 2006 is an international labor treaty which regulates the terms and conditions of employment of seafarers in the shipping industry. And there are numerous challenges facing the maritime industry, and these challenges were taken into consideration in the configuration of the MLC, which is the Maritime Labour Convention 2006. And one of those challenges was how to bring together all maritime labor conventions into a single, understandable, ratifiable, and enforceable instrument in a form that will be consistent with rapid developments.
Well, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria and the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria are separately asking the federal government to probe those behind the dirty deals of non-tax invasion perpetrated by Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas. The unions recognize that between 1998 and 1999, the NLNG was granted a tax holiday because of its pioneering role in the natural gas project. But that understanding role has since expired, and they wondered why there is an issue over the refusal by the Nigerian Maritime and Administration Safety Agency, NIMASA, to allow them carry on business without paying the backlog of tax. The maritime workers today gave a 21-day ultimatum to the federal government to enforce its tax payment. Now, the House of Representatives is set to investigate the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Security Agency over its involvement in the funds meant to improve indigenous participation in the maritime sector. Leading the debate on the motion on the urgent need to investigate the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund, member representing Ado Ogbadibo and Okpoku Federal Constituency in Benue State, Mr. Hassan Saleh, explained that over 40 billion naira was set aside under the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. He disclosed that 10 years later, indigenous shipping firms who are meant to acquire vessels to increase local content in the maritime business through the fund are yet to benefit from it.
The House is worried that while over $525 million of these funds, for some strange and inexplicable reasons, are alleged to be trapped in some designated banks, instead of it being utilized for the purpose for which the funds was established, and the participating banks are also alleged to have suddenly developed cold feet towards fulfilling their part of the agreement, with the funds still in their possession while the intending beneficiaries are not able to access them. The House is concerned that the attitude of these banks and the MASA have defeated the laudable objectives of the purpose which the fund was supposed to address.
Now, staying with the House of Representatives, the lawmakers have begun the process of updating all outdated laws in the country. While considering a bill seeking to repeal and reenact the Sales of Goods Act 1893, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Aminu Tambuwal, directed the House Committee on Justice to ensure that all such laws still being practiced in the country are updated. Leading debate on the general principles of the bill, the chairman of the House Committee on Justice, Representative Ali Ahmed, argued that the amendment would remove all reference to British authority and make the law simpler for judges to interpret.
The United Kingdom Act currently applies to any item of sale in Nigeria except landed property. Anything that is sold in Nigeria is regulated by the Sale of Goods Act 1893. By the sheer length of year and by the sheer fact that this federal act, this act that applies in federal jurisdiction, was enacted not by this parliament, honorable colleagues. It was enacted, it was a 18th century act enacted in Great Britain that still applies to Nigeria. By repealing and reenacting this act, it will be Nigerianized, which we will abide by the fundamental principle of sovereignty of the legislature.
Some Niger Delta militants assembled for training in the once peaceful community of Obubra have, relatively speaking, turned a big burden to the residents of the town. Now, even though the course content for the over 1,000 trainees look exhausted, the militants have now taken Obubra as their new abode. The implication of that is the focus of our community report tonight.
This is Obubra, one of the 18 local government areas of Cross River State in Nigeria's southeast region. Obubra has a population of approximately 300,000 people, and 80% of that population are farmers. This community hosted the Amnesty program after its proclamation on the 25th of June 2009 by late President Umaru Yar'Adua. Relatively unknown, except for being the former orientation camp of the National Youth Service Corps in the state, Obubra shot into national and international limelight courtesy of the rehabilitation program for the Niger Delta militants who agreed to lay down their arms and ammunition. The community, and indeed Cross River State, was chosen to host the program because of its serene and peaceful nature. And it was to this NYSC camp that the first batch of former militants were brought for their training. On the 6th of August 2009, over 1,000 militants were transported to the camp for the training program aimed at rehabilitating and reintegrating them back to the society. A year after the discharge of the former militants, the once bubbling camp has now been abandoned. The camp is largely deserted, overgrown with grasses and weeds left to run wild. The camp clinic is also a shadow of itself. The kitchen, toilets, the lawns have all fallen apart. For the people of this community, it's a tale of neglect, failed promises and abandoned projects.
I worked with the Amnesty 6 months before the closing date. That was June. I started work with them and I was employed here as a gardener, auxiliary staff. They were paying me 30,000 a month. So I worked up till December. They paid quite all right. So we worked. Before then, they now say the cleaners, the girls, they should not come to the camp again, that the program is finished. So, but they are left to pay them a 1 month salary, which is December salary. Although we, the gardeners, they paid us the December salary. So they now say we should continue working. January, February we work, but there was no salary.
Initially, when the program was about to start, they started by saying they want to link a road to the camp, which they met the community, and the community gave them option, which they agree. So at the end of it, now they came for grading. As they came, they grade our crops, economic tricks, and promising that they were going to compensate the people who have those materials. But till now, nothing has been done.
It's not only a tale of unpaid wages, lack of infrastructure and development. The youth of the area also allege that some of the women were impregnated and dumped.
I'm talking to you, they have delivered birth certificates because they will not even indicate where the people are. Or they cannot even trace them, let me use that word.
27-year-old Clara, a single mother of an 11-month-old baby, says she's one of the victims of this kind of treatment.
I was impregnated there, but my husband is not here. My husband did not come back again. So I am taking care of the baby alone.
Who impregnated you?
The Amnesty. The boy is an ex-militia.
The community leaders are quick to point out that their sons are jobless and restless, but they say they have been able to calm them down to continue to maintain peace and not engage in any form of violence.
The most important thing there is employment and our roots. Employment. If all my boys want to come out now, you will feel they are all workers. They are farmers.
The technical assistant to the chairman of the Amnesty program, who answered our questions about the plight of the people in Obubra, has however given the assurance that the government is aware of the complaints of the people and will fulfill all the earlier promises made.
We made very many promises to them. Some of them will have achieved, but some of them will stay for the final exit. We are coming back to Obubra by the grace of God with the support of His Excellency the Governor. When we return, when we are leaving this time, it will be a glorious story. It will be different from the first time. I'm very sure of it.
Attention is now focused on government to listen to the yearnings and demands of the Obubra people and improve their standard of living.
We're starting in Cape Town, South Africa, where the 23rd World Economic Forum on Africa has kicked off with the theme, Delivering on Africa's Promise. Now, the three-day event is expected to bring together regional and global leaders from business, government and civil society to discuss the continent's commitment to sustainable growth and development. The forum's focus will be on three key areas, including accelerating economic diversification and boosting strategic infrastructure. The Africa Competitiveness Report 2013, a joint AFDB, World Bank, World Economic Forum publication, will be launched at the event. This year's publication will focus on regional integration, trade and infrastructure as key elements to unlocking the continent's potential. Well, the federal government is expecting a private sector investment of about $10 billion annually in the country's power sector over the next 10 years. Well, President Goodluck Jonathan, who said this in Cape Town today, believes this can be achieved with a total privatization of power generation and distribution in Nigeria. At the World Economic Forum in South Africa, President Jonathan told the gathering that to quickly overcome infrastructural deficit, which currently limits the pace of economic development, Nigeria and other African countries must find innovative ways of funding essential infrastructure, including power supply, energy, and communications. The president promised that Nigeria will continue to support the development of continent-wide infrastructure, such as the Nigeria-Algeria gas pipeline project and the Lagos-Abidjan highway project. He, however, disclosed that in light of recent developments in the global gas industry and the collapse of gas prices, the Nigeria-Algeria gas pipeline project concept is being reviewed to determine its continued viability. First Bank Nigeria PLC, one of Nigeria's largest bank by market value, has unveiled 4 dynamic products in line with the lender's commitment to provide its customers with innovative services. Other products, which include expressions on cards, First Money, First Travel Card and First Online, were introduced at a second edition of the bank's product fair in Lagos.
Journalists listened attentively as presentations were made by First Bank on the features and benefits of the new products just added to its range of products and services. Expressions on cards allows you to personalize your debit card with pictures of yourself, loved ones, or memorable moments.
Gives you access to your funds anywhere you are in the world. Gives you access to your Naira or savings, Naira savings or current account anywhere you are in the world.
First Money is a mobile payment service that enables phone users to send and receive money.
You're able to pay for your Swift internet, Mobitel, IPNX. You're able to pay DSTV, you're able to pay Star Times, and so on and so forth.
It's quite easy.
The First Travel Card is a dollar-dominated card designed for frequent travelers, students in diaspora, and pilgrims.
Card is $5,000 for BTA, and for PTA is $4,000, which is in accordance with the CBN regulations guiding the PTA and PTA sale.
Unlike in the past, whereby manufacturers or banks just reel out products just because they think that this product we sell in the market or the customer will like this product. What we do is that First Bank, from time to time, we carry out a lot of research, we do market insight, and then we talk to some of our customers and we get feedback from them that this is what we want and this is where the trend is actually moving to. Not only local trend, but global trend. And First Bank is always at the forefront of innovation. So because of that, because of the feedback we've gotten from our customers, that is what actually inform us going back to some of our product owners, and we design some of this product and come up with this product that actually fits and suit the lifestyle of their customers.
Others are the First Online, an internet banking service, and Bank Assure, a product of First Bank Life Assurance Limited with exciting life benefit plans. All these products can be easily accessed through the bank's website.
Provide an opportunity for our teaming customers.
Trading at the local bourse finished positive as the all-share index climbed by 1.9%, closing at 35,486.43 points with a market capitalization of 11.32 trillion. Industrial heavyweight lead on the gainers chart on Nigerian breweries is the most profitable, adding 5 naira to its share value ahead of Nestle and Dangote Cement. Petroleum marketing stock Total sheds 4 naira 80 kobo and is the session's top loser. Major contributors to market turnover include First City Monument Bank, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, and Zenith Banks. When stocks hit the finish line, investors exchanged over 390 million shares for 5 billion naira in midweek trade, logged in 5,681 deals.